Welcome back to the News at 10. A recent case involving a 14-year-old schoolgirl, secondary school student, who was assaulted and killed in her home in Lagos has brought to the fore concern over the trend. A group of women have taken to the streets here in Lagos protesting the act.
The word doesn't sound pleasant to the ears. But rape is one of the most serious and atrocious crimes in the society, a global pandemic that affects people of all classes, regardless of race, ethnic background or religion. Sadly, women are mostly in the receiving end in this crime. Like other developed and developing countries, Nigeria has witnessed an increasing number of cases of sexual violence. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, a total of 125,790 cases of violent crimes were reported in 2016. Lagos State has the highest percentage of total cases reported, followed by the Federal Capital Territory Abuja and Delta State. At its last town hall meeting on security, the Lagos Police Commander reported that a total of 162 rape cases were recorded in this state in 2016. The figure shows consistent increase despite the state government's investment in security. Recent incidents of sexual abuse of women, especially children in Lagos State, have forced this men and women out of their comfort zones to a set-out protest against rape.
There seems to be an epidemic of rape against babies and children. Every week, not less than 10 to 20 rape situations come around for treatment, for analysis, because they have to analyze and show that it has already... And for me, let me take the immediate one. From Thursday last week till now, I have had four rape cases.
Despite the existence of the Lagos State Domestic and Sexual Violence Response Team set up to help raise awareness and respond to reported cases, these aggrieved protesters believe more needs to be done.
I sincerely believe that we must find a way of not only taking them to court, but also shaming them within the society.
We need to have midway homes for rape victims, especially the children, who sometimes, where the father is concerned, they send the child back into the home. If you look at it, we had for the kidnap case, kidnappers, it is death sentence. So why should it not be death sentence for those who rape and even kill? So if they come up with a bill, it's the job of the House of Assembly to look at it.
Among the protesters are victims of sexual violence. Eniola Salu is one of them. She has put aside several years of stigma to speak out. She even declines that her face be covered before this interview.
I was a sex slave at the age of 5, non-stop, till age of 6 years plus, when my mom came to rescue me from the village. Because of a broken marriage, my father took me away and he took me to the village. I'm sure I never knew that I'm going to be sexually abused. It's not even abuse, slave.
Hey, no to rape! No to rape! No to rape! No to rape! Castration for rapists! Castration for rapists!
Speaking out against sexual violence may be difficult, especially for victims who mostly fear stigmatization.
Justice for Obiamaka! Justice for Obiamaka!
For Eniola, it speeds up the recovery process. While collective action is needed to combat this menace, governments must be proactive to ensure that it is curtailed to the barest minimum.
To other stories now. Enugu, the coal city, has over the years grappled with the provision of potable water to some parts of the metropolis due to the interplay of various factors, which include the topography and soil type. However, while residents make do with existing water infrastructure, the State Commissioner for Water Resources says the government is making plans to expand existing facility, which hopefully should improve water generation to about 200,000 cubic feet within the next 3 years.
Enugu State, southeastern Nigeria, known for its hilly topography, and a huge deposit of coal which easily permeates the waterbed. Within the metropolis, it's very common to find the soil surface covered with shells, a type of rock that forms from the compaction of silt and clay-sized mineral particles. These, according to a professor of geology at the University of Nsukka, constitutes a brick wall to groundwater.
If you just move up the Onyama mine and Milking Hill and go to 9th Mile, you find boreholes everywhere, yielding a lot of water. Why? Because once you come up that hill, you get into another different kind of geological formation, sandstones, materials below the ground that have a lot of pore spaces that contain a lot of water. In Enugu, you have mainly shales, and shales are not porous.
It has remained pretty difficult accessing water in various parts of the metropolis, despite government efforts in the last 30 years, which include the provision of water scheme at Ajali and Oji River, with installed capacity of 77,000 and 50,000 cubic meters respectively.
I spend about 4,500 to 5,000 buying water.
We, the tenants, had to dig a well for ourselves so that we can use, but we discovered that sometimes the color of the water changes, and we try to contact the professionals. They say we need to dig further so that we can go beyond the coal level so we can get clean water.
While the demand for potable water in Enugu persists, the State Commissioner for Water Resources says the state is already negotiating a $50 million facility to provide about 200,000 cubic meters of water within the next 3 years.
What we intend to do with the facility is a total overhaul of the water infrastructure. The Ajali at the end of the day will become a brand new water scheme because all the pumps will be changed, the chemical plant will be transformed, there will be a dedicated line from EDC running from Oji River to Ajali plant.
Water is essential for life, which makes it a top priority of any functional government. The people of Enugu would be delighted to have their water crisis resolved as the state government makes good its plan to rejig its water system.
Meanwhile, the Benue state government is collaborating with the United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund to prevent cholera outbreak by constructing 638 boreholes in 8 local councils. This was confirmed by the General Manager of the Benue State Rural Water Supply and Sanitation Agency, Ejimbi Bella, during a tour of the projects for the communities.
Benue State is one like some others facing ecological and flooding challenges, which may lead to epidemic outbreaks due to poor rural hygiene and sanitation. Bearing this in mind, the Governor Samuel Otom's administration, which had to contend with these problems in 2015, approached UNICEF and UK Aid to work with them and find solutions. As at July 2017, over 638 motorized and manually propelled boreholes have been delivered to hundreds of rural communities.
Hand pump boreholes scattered in our 8 local governments of the state that are under our SHON, which is Sanitation, Hygiene and Water in Nigeria intervention with support of UNICEF.
Community members in Buruku Local Council who describe the water and sanitation project as a relief say a lot has been achieved.
With the introduction of this overhead tap, things like fighting to get water and the rest of what have ceased into being.
Meanwhile, over 2,000 public conveniences have been constructed to end open defecation, a major reason for cholera outbreak during the rainy season.
As I'm talking to you now, about 2,000 communities in Benue State are now ODF free. That is open defecation free. And this has been facilitated by this Sean project we are talking about, and also some projects under UNICEF, and we also have water aid that are intervention in some local governments like Enugu and Ado.
The implementation of these projects, beginning from 2015, have seen a tremendous improvement in rural hygiene and fewer cases of cholera due to sustained public enlightenment campaigns.
Ogirikong Art Space in Lagos is more than an exhibition center for creativity. It's a place that fuses furniture with art, a move which is becoming increasingly popular. Art Review tonight takes you into the colorful world of Ogirikong.
Ogirikong Art Space adds to the number of art houses in Lagos, Nigeria, and is home to works of art, modern and contemporary, done by the new and old in the game. What makes this place stand out is that decorations have been added to the fray, creating the illusion of how art pieces can be combined with other items to add color to any space. Fresh and creative ideas is what this space is all about, and it appears young minds will be welcomed with open arms.
The federal government has said it is committed to making the Calabar Free Trade Zone meet international standards and providing such an enabling environment that will interest investors from across the globe. The Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Mr. Okechukwu Onelama, who's been inspecting infrastructure turnaround at the Free Trade Zone, also met with investors to feel their pulse. Mr. Onelama says the move is part of the federal government's larger economic recovery, growth and industrialization strategy to diversify the economy and will be replicated at all free trade zones across the country.
Committed to working with us to make the necessary investment in infrastructure and in attracting the right investors to make this a world-class zone, which, as you know, is part of our larger economic recovery and growth strategy and industrialization strategy, which is to attract investors that would help diversify the economy and employ our people and also lower the cost of goods and services in the country. You know, we're already developing a plan on how to make sure there's adequate power and infrastructure here. And in terms of, all the linkages, including ports, there's also a plan that is ongoing, both with the Ministry of Transportation and other relevant agencies to make sure that, we have the right linkages to the ports. Obviously there is so much the Calabar port can do, but there are other ports that will support Calabar if we need to do things that require more than what can be done here. But the important thing is that, you need the linkages so that the country is working as a system, not just as separate, isolated sites that are inefficient. And I think that's why we have a master plan, and that plan is being implemented one step at a time.
Still ahead of the news at 10, Africa's football governing body, CAF, seeks assurance of Cameroon's ability to host the 2014 Nations Cup in 2019. More coming up in sports news. Do stay with us.